The massive screen on the bridge of UES Defiant showed hundreds of enemy ships appearing out of hyperspace. Each vessel glowed with the distinctive blue energy field of Council technology. Captain Thomas Reed stood tall, his weathered hands gripping the command rail as he watched the Council armada take position around his ship. "Status report," he ordered, his voice steady despite the growing tension on the bridge. "Council ships are forming a circle around us." "Sir," First Officer James Walker reported from his station. "Count is now at 300 and climbing." Reed nodded slowly. The Defiant was humanity's finest warship, but these odds would make anyone nervous. His ship floated in space between the Council fleet and Heaven's Gate, Earth's last surviving colony. Behind him, the blue-green planet looked so much like Earth that it hurt to see it. "Message from Council Command," the communications officer called out. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Put it through," Reed ordered. The main screen flickered, showing the face of a Council commander. The alien's gray skin and large black eyes were a familiar sight after 50 years of war. "Human vessel," the commander spoke in perfect English. "Your resistance ends today. Surrender your ship and colony. The Council offers mercy to those who submit to our rule." Reed almost laughed. The Council had been making the same offer for half a century, ever since their ships first appeared in Earth's solar system. They had expected humans to bow down like every other species they had encountered in their 1,000-year rule of the galaxy. They had been wrong. "All hands to battle stations," Reed commanded, ignoring the Council's message. Red alert lights flashed throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their positions. The Defiant had been built for this moment, designed with every bit of knowledge humans had gathered about Council technology over 50 years of guerrilla warfare. "Sir," Engineer Stone's voice came through the comm system. "The new shield modifications are online. We can take more hits than they expect." That was humanity's advantage. While the Council relied on the same technology they had used for centuries, humans kept adapting, learning, and improving. Every defeat taught them something new. Every lost battle showed them another weakness to exploit. "Multiple Council ships powering up weapons," Walker reported. His fingers flew over his console, updating the tactical display. "They're using standard attack pattern Delta." Reed smiled slightly. The Council never changed their tactics. Why should they? Their superior technology had won them every war for 1,000 years. Until they met humans. "The colony's defensive systems are ready," Miller reported from the science station, "but they won't last long against a full Council assault." Reed looked at the planet again. 10 million colonists lived on Heaven's Gate. It was humanity's last hope after Earth had been rendered uninhabitable by Council bombardment. They had nowhere else to go. "Engineering reports all systems at full power," Stone announced. "The experimental systems are as ready as they'll ever be." Reed took a deep breath. This was why the Defiant had come here. One ship, carrying humanity's best technology and bravest crew, to make a final stand against an empire that spanned the galaxy. "Send a message to the colony," Reed ordered. "Tell them to be ready for anything. Then target the nearest Council vessel. Let's show them why humanity never surrendered." The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. They had trained for this, prepared for this moment. They were humanity's last line of defense, and they would not fail. "Council ships are firing," Walker announced. The first shots streaked across space, brilliant beams of energy that could tear through normal shields like paper. But the Defiant's shields had been modified, improved, rebuilt using everything humans had learned about Council weapons. The ship shuddered as the attacks hit, but held firm. "Shields at 92%, Miller reported, surprise and hope in her voice. "The modifications are working better than expected." Reed allowed himself a small smile. The Council thought they knew everything about human capabilities. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Target locked on enemy flagship," Walker reported. "Fire." The Defiant's main guns roared to life, launching the first shots in humanity's last stand. The battle that would decide the fate of their species had begun. The battle had been raging for 3 hours. First Officer James Walker's eyes were fixed on his tactical display, watching the movement of Council ships. Something about their formation kept bothering him. Even under heavy fire, their ships moved in precise patterns, like dancers following choreography. "Captain," Walker called out, "I think I've found something." Captain Reed moved to Walker's station, his boots making soft sounds on the metal deck. The Defiant shook as another blast hit their shields, but neither man flinched. They had gotten used to it. "Look at this," Walker pointed to his screen. "Every time we damage one of their ships, the others move to replace it, but they always use the same paths, the same timing. It's like they're following a program." Reed leaned closer, studying the display. The Council ships moved again, exactly as Walker predicted. "They're not adapting to our tactics at all," Reed said quietly. "They're just following their standard battle plans." At the science station, Anna Miller looked up from her own work. She had been analyzing data from every hit they had taken and delivered. "That matches what I'm seeing in their shield frequencies," she said. "They haven't changed them once during the battle. It's the same pattern we've seen in every fight." The ship rocked again, harder this time. "Shields at 67%, someone reported. Reed straightened up. "What are you thinking, Walker?" "If they won't change their patterns," Walker said, his eyes lighting up, "we can predict exactly where each ship will be. We won't have to react to them. We can be waiting for them." The intercom crackled. "Bridge, this is engineering." Robert Stone's voice was excited. "Captain, you need to see this. The new weapon system is showing something interesting." "Put it on screen," Reed ordered. The main display filled with technical data. Stone's voice continued. "Every time we hit their shields, there's a tiny feedback pulse. It's like an echo. I think their shield generators are all linked together somehow." Miller quickly turned to her own instruments. "He's right," she said after a moment. "The Council ships share power between their shields. That's why they stay in such tight formations. They're not just following a battle plan. They have to stay close to maintain their defenses." Walker's hands flew over his console. "If we could disrupt that power sharing," he began. "Their whole defensive network might collapse," Miller finished. Reed looked at the tactical display again. The Council ships continued their dance, moving in perfect, predictable patterns. They had used the same tactics for centuries. And why not? No one had ever beaten them. "Stone," Reed called over the intercom. "How long would it take to modify our weapons to target their shield frequency?" "The new quantum Cascade weapon could do it," Stone replied. "But sir, it's never been tested in combat. We don't know what will happen." Another hit rocked the ship. "Shields at 54%, came the report. Reed looked around the bridge. His crew was tired, but their eyes were bright with excitement. This was what humans did best: finding patterns, solving puzzles, turning an enemy's strength into a weakness. "Miller, help Stone modify the Cascade weapon," Reed ordered. "Walker, I want a tactical plan that puts us in the perfect position to hit their entire formation at once. We only get one shot at this." The crew moved with new energy. This was no longer just about survival. They had found a way to fight back. Walker's fingers danced across his console, plotting courses and calculating timing. Miller's station beeped as she sent data to engineering. "Council ships launching another attack wave," the tactical officer reported. "Evasive pattern Delta," Reed commanded. "Keep us alive while we work." The Defiant dove and rolled, avoiding some hits while its shields absorbed others. The Council ships followed, moving exactly as Walker predicted they would. Their perfect formation was their pride, and might be their downfall. "Plan ready, sir," Walker announced after several minutes. "I can put us right in the middle of their formation when they make their next attack run." "Miller, Stone, how's the weapon?" "Almost there, Captain," Miller replied. "We're matching the frequency patterns now." Reed nodded slowly. They had one chance to prove that human ingenuity could overcome alien power. One chance to show why humanity had survived 50 years of war against impossible odds. "All hands," he said over the ship-wide comm, "prepare for close-quarters combat. We're about to show the Council why they should have left humans alone." High Counselor Merrick stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Pride of Unity. His gray skin seemed to glow under the blue lights of the command center. Around him, other council members watched displays showing the battle against the single human warship. "Such a stubborn species," Merrick said, his large black eyes fixed on the image of the UES Defiant. 50 years of war, and they still refuse to accept their place in the natural order. The Defiant fired again, its weapons blazing against a Council cruiser's shields. The cruiser shook but remained intact. Council technology, perfected over 1,000 years, would not fail so easily. "High Counselor," one of his officers reported, "the human vessel appears to be using modified weapons. They're not matching any patterns in our database." Merrick waved a long-fingered hand dismissively. "Humans are always trying new tactics. It makes no difference. Our shields have protected us since before their species left their planet's surface." On the main screen, the Defiant performed a complex maneuver, avoiding fire from 3 Council ships at once. Several Council members shifted uncomfortably. No other species had ever fought them for so long. No other species had forced them to commit so many ships to a single battle. "Report from the Science Division," another officer called out. "They've analyzed the human weapon signatures. They appear to be studying our shield frequencies." For the first time, a flicker of concern crossed Merrick's face. He turned to his chief scientist. "Is there any risk?" The chief scientist, an elderly council member named Voss, looked offended at the very question. "Our shield technology is the most advanced in the galaxy. We have spent a millennium perfecting it. No primitive human weapons could possibly." An explosion cut him off. On the screen, a Council ship's shields flickered strangely where the Defiant's weapons had hit them. "What was that?" Merrick demanded. "Unknown, High Counselor," the science officer replied, his fingers moving quickly over his console. "The human ship appears to be using some kind of new energy weapon, but our shields are holding." Voss stepped forward, his voice heavy with certainty. "High Counselor, may I remind you that our shield network has protected our fleets in 10,000 battles. Every species we have encountered has eventually recognized our superiority. These humans are no different." Merrick nodded slowly. The Council had ruled the galaxy for longer than humans had existed as a species. Their technology was beyond anything Earth could produce. Yet something about this battle felt different. "Message from the human ship," a communications officer announced. "Ignore it," Merrick ordered. "Continue the attack pattern. Our standard tactics have never failed." Another council member, younger than the others, spoke up hesitantly. "High Counselor, perhaps we should analyze their attack patterns more carefully. The humans have shown remarkable adaptability in previous encounters." "You sound afraid," Merrick said coldly. "The Council does not fear primitives who barely understand the technology they're using. Our ways have served us for 1,000 years. We do not need to change them for these humans." The younger council member fell silent, but his eyes remained fixed on the display showing the Defiant's movements. The human ship was changing position again, moving in ways that didn't match any known combat pattern. "Their weapons are showing unusual energy readings," the science officer reported. "They appear to be building up power for something." Voss scoffed. "Let them try whatever primitive tricks they wish. Our shields are linked across the entire fleet. No single weapon could possibly overcome them." Merrick watched as his ships moved into their standard attack formation. The formation had been perfected centuries ago, allowing their ships to share shield power for maximum protection. No enemy had ever broken through it. "The human vessel is moving toward the center of our formation," an officer reported. "Let them come," Merrick said confidently. "They will learn what so many others have learned. The Council cannot be defeated." But deep in his mind, a tiny voice of doubt spoke up. No other species had ever fought like the humans. No other species had lasted this long against Council forces. No other species had kept adapting, kept learning, kept finding new ways to fight. The Defiant continued its approach, its hull glowing with strange energy readings. Around it, Council ships moved into position, following the same tactical patterns they had used for centuries. None of them realized they were dancing to the humans' tune. Engineer Robert Stone's hands were covered in thermal grease as he made the final adjustments to the quantum Cascade weapon. The device hummed with power, filling the engineering bay with a soft blue glow. 50 years of studying Council technology had led to this moment. "Stone to bridge," he called out, wiping his hands on his uniform. "The weapon is ready. But Captain, you need to know something. This thing is putting out more power than all our other systems combined." On the bridge, Captain Reed's voice came back over the comm. "What are you saying, Stone?" "I'm saying we get one shot. Maybe two if we're lucky. After that, we'll have drained so much power that we'll barely have enough left for basic systems." The ship shook as another Council blast hit their shields. Stone grabbed a railing to keep his balance. Around him, his engineering team worked frantically to keep the Defiant's systems running. "Miller to engineering." Anna Miller's voice joined the conversation. "Stone, I'm sending you the final shield frequency data. The pattern is beautiful in its simplicity. They haven't changed it in centuries." Stone pulled up the data on his screen. Miller was right. The Council's shield network was like a massive web, connecting all their ships together. But every web had its weak points. "Got it," he replied, entering the frequency patterns into the Cascade weapon's targeting system. "Walker, are you seeing this? The power distribution isn't random. It flows in specific paths between their ships." Already plotting the best point of impact, Walker responded from the bridge. "If we hit them where the power flows intersect, the disruption should spread through their entire formation." Another hit rocked the ship. "Shields at 41%, someone reported. Stone looked at the Cascade weapon again. The device was a combination of human innovation and stolen Council technology. The Council would never expect their own shield frequencies to be used against them. "Captain," Stone called out, "weapon is charged and ready. But there's something else you should know. The energy feedback. I can't predict exactly what it will do to their ships." "Understood," Reed replied. "Walker, how long until we're in position?" 3 minutes, sir. The Council ships are moving exactly as predicted. Their formation is perfect, perfectly vulnerable." Stone watched his power displays as the Cascade weapon drew more energy. The lights in engineering dimmed slightly. Other systems were already shutting down to provide the massive power needed. "Miller, are you seeing these readings?" Stone asked, sending data to the science station. "Yes," she replied after a moment. "The weapon is creating some kind of resonance pattern. It's learning the rhythm of their shield network." Another blast hit the Defiant. Warning lights flashed across Stone's console. "Shields at 33%. We're burning through power faster than I expected." 2 minutes to firing position, Walker reported. Stone made a final adjustment to the weapon. Everything they had learned about Council technology, every battle they had fought, every defeat they had studied, it all came down to this moment. "Bridge, this is engineering. We need to shut down all non-essential systems. Life support will be minimal. Artificial gravity will be affected, but it should give us enough power for maximum impact." "Do it," Reed ordered. The ship grew darker as systems powered down. Stone felt himself getting lighter as the gravity weakened, but the quantum Cascade weapon continued to hum, its power growing stronger. 1 minute, Walker called out. "Everyone, mag boots on." Stone ordered his engineering team. Without full gravity, they would need the magnetic boots to stay in place. "Council ships are adjusting formation," Miller reported, "still following their standard patterns. They have no idea what we're about to do." Stone watched the final power reading stabilize. The Cascade weapon was ready. 50 years of war had taught humanity that superior technology wasn't enough. You had to understand it, adapt it, improve it. The Council had stopped learning centuries ago. Humans never stopped. 30 seconds, Walker announced. Stone took a deep breath. Captain, the weapon is at full power. Whatever happens, it's been an honor. Likewise, Reed replied. All hands, brace for impact. We're about to show the Council why humanity never surrenders. The Defiant moved into position, its engines pushing it straight into the heart of the Council formation. Around them, the massive alien ships continued their perfect, predictable dance. They never saw the trap until it was too late. The Defiant floated in the heart of the Council formation, surrounded by massive enemy ships. The quantum Cascade weapon hummed through the entire vessel, making the deck plates vibrate under the crew's feet. All Council ships in position, Walker reported from his tactical station. His voice was steady, but his hands gripped his console tightly. They've completely surrounded us, exactly as planned. Captain Reed stood at the center of his darkened bridge. With most systems powered down to feed the Cascade weapon, only emergency lighting remained. Status report, he ordered. Shields at 28% and falling. Miller called out from her station. The Council ships are preparing another coordinated attack. Through the main viewport, Reed could see the Council vessels moving into their final attack positions. Their massive hulls gleamed with blue energy as they shared shield power between ships. The same tactic they had used for 1,000 years was about to become their greatest weakness. Engineering, status of the Cascade weapon, Reed asked. Stone's voice came back strained but confident. Ready to fire, sir. Power levels are maximal. But our shields won't survive another full barrage. The Council ships opened fire. Hundreds of energy beams struck the Defiant simultaneously. The ship shuddered violently. Shields at 15%. Miller shouted over the noise of straining systems. We can't take another hit like that. Council ships are powering up for another attack, Walker reported. 20 seconds until they fire. Reed keyed his comm. Engineering, this is our only chance. Prepare to fire the Cascade weapon on my mark. Understood, sir. Stone's voice was nearly drowned out by the sound of overworking systems. But there's a problem. The power drain is more than we calculated. When we fire, we'll lose shields completely. Another warning light flashed on Miller's console. Captain, I'm detecting power buildups in all Council ships. This next barrage will be even stronger than the last. 15 seconds to enemy fire, Walker announced. Reed looked at his crew. They had trained for this, prepared for this moment. Humanity's last hope against an empire that had ruled the galaxy for a millennium. 10 seconds. All hands, Reed's voice carried across the ship's comm system. Braced for impact. Engineering, prepare to fire the instant their attack hits us. The Council ships glowed brighter as they prepared to fire. Their perfect formation had trapped the Defiant exactly where they wanted it, or so they thought. 5 seconds. Miller's hands flew over her console. Energy readings from Council ships are off the scale. They're putting everything they have into this attack. 3, 2, 1. The Council fleet fired. Hundreds of energy beams converged on the Defiant from all directions. For a moment, the human ship disappeared completely in the blinding light. Shields failing, Miller shouted. Now, Reed ordered. Stone slammed his hand down on the firing control. The quantum Cascade weapon activated with a sound like thunder. The Defiant's hull glowed with strange energy as the weapon released its power. The blast caught the Council ships while their weapons were still firing, while their shields were all linked together, sharing power. The Cascade effect moved through their formation like lightning through a metal web. It's working, Miller exclaimed, watching her readings. The feedback is spreading through their shield network. On the main screen, they could see Council ships starting to lose power. Their shields flickered and failed as the Cascade effect moved from ship to ship. Multiple Council vessels reporting shield failures, Walker reported, his voice rising with excitement. Their formations are breaking apart. The Defiant shuddered again as systems struggled to handle the massive power drain. Warning lights flashed across every console. Main power failing. Stone reported from engineering, switching to emergency systems. But it was too late for the Council ships to escape. Their own linked shields had become a liability, spreading the Cascade effect faster than they could react. Ships began to drift out of formation as their power systems overloaded. Council flagship is attempting to coordinate a response, Walker reported, but their command signals aren't getting through. The Cascade effect is disrupting all their communications. Reed watched as the mighty Council fleet began to break apart. Their perfect formation dissolved into chaos as ships lost power and drifted apart. "Status report," he ordered. "We're running on emergency power only," Stone replied. But the Cascade weapon worked better than we hoped. Their entire command and control network is collapsing. The bridge crew watched in amazement as the Council fleet, the most powerful force in the galaxy, fell into disarray. Centuries of technological superiority meant nothing in the face of human innovation. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time in 50 years of war, humanity had struck a blow that the Council would never forget. Emergency lights flashed across the Defiance bridge as damage reports flooded in from all sections. The quantum Cascade weapon had worked, but the cost had been enormous. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. Miller shouted over the sound of straining metal. "Emergency force fields are holding, but we're losing atmosphere." Captain Reed gripped his command chair as the ship shook. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically to keep their crippled vessel functioning. "Engineering report," he called out. Stone's voice came back broken by static. "Main reactor is at 12%, Captain. We're running on backup power. The Cascade weapon drained more than we expected. But, sir, you need to see what it did to the Council fleet." Walker's tactical display showed the chaos surrounding them. Council ships drifted in random directions, their once perfect formation shattered. Many had lost power completely, floating helplessly in space. "Council flagship is still operational," Walker reported, his fingers dancing across his console. "They're trying to restore their command network, but the Cascade effect is still spreading through their systems." Another explosion rocked the ship. "We've lost starboard thrusters," someone shouted. "Reroute power from life support to essential systems," Reed ordered. "We need engines and weapons online." "Sir," Miller's voice was urgent. "The Council flagship. They're doing something with their shields. The readings are like nothing I've seen before." On the main screen, they could see the massive Council flagship glowing with intense blue energy. Unlike the other ships, it had managed to isolate its systems from the Cascade effect. "They're charging weapons," Walker warned. "Without our shields, a direct hit will tear us apart." Reed keyed his comm. "Stone, we need options. What can you give me?" In engineering, Stone was already moving. "Captain, I might have an idea. The Cascade weapon changed their shield frequencies. If we modify our remaining weapons." "Do it," Reed ordered. "Walker, keep us moving. Use the disabled Council ships as cover." The Defiant limped between the drifting Council vessels, its engines struggling to maintain power. Behind them, the Council flagship's weapons began to glow. "Stone to bridge. I'd link the auxiliary power cells directly to the weapon systems. It's not safe, but it should give us enough power for one more shot." "Flagship is firing," Walker shouted. The Council ship's beam sliced through space, barely missing the Defiant as Walker rolled the ship sideways. The human vessel's damaged hull groaned under the strain. "Return fire," Reed ordered. All remaining weapons. The Defiant's guns blazed to life, targeting the flagship's modified shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then Miller's console lit up with new readings. "Captain, the frequency shift. Their modified shields are making it worse. The Cascade effect is feeding back into their own systems." On the screen, they could see energy patterns rippling across the Council flagship's hull. Its shields flickered and twisted with strange colors. Their power core is destabilizing, Miller reported. The feedback loop is growing stronger. All Council ships in range are losing power, Walker added. Whatever they did to their shields, it's making the Cascade effect even more powerful. Stone's voice came over the comm again. Captain, we need to get out of here. The energy readings are off the scale. Reed looked at his tactical display. The Council fleet, once the most powerful force in the galaxy, was being torn apart by its own technology. Plot an escape course, he ordered. Get us clear of the blast radius. The Defiance engines flared as Walker guided them away from the chaos. Behind them, the Council flagship's hull began to break apart as the Cascade effect reached its power core. Multiple explosions detected in the Council fleet, Miller reported. Their linked systems are causing the chain reaction. Maximum thrust, Reed ordered. Get us out of here. The human ship accelerated away as the Council flagship exploded. The blast triggered a cascade of secondary explosions throughout the fleet as the linked ship's power cores overloaded one after another. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the mighty Council armada tore itself apart. Centuries of technological superiority had become a fatal weakness in the face of human adaptability. Damage report, Reed called out, his voice quiet. We're barely holding together, Stone replied from engineering. But Captain, we did it. We actually did it. The Council's perfect formation was now a field of debris. Their unbeatable fleet had been defeated by a single human ship. The war wasn't over, but everything had changed. Humanity had proven that even the mightiest empire could fall to innovation and determination. The debris field stretched as far as the eye could see. Fragments of Council ships drifted through space, glinting in the starlight. The UES Defiant floated among them, its hull scared but intact, a testament to human endurance. Captain Reed stood at the viewport on his damaged bridge, watching the last remnants of the Council fleet drift away. Emergency repairs were underway, but the ship still ran on minimal power. Final damage assessment, he called out, his voice tired but proud. Miller looked up from her console, which was now running on backup systems, hull integrity at 43%. Life support stable but limited. Main reactor slowly recharging. She paused, checking another reading. But sir, the Council fleet, we destroyed or disabled over 300 ships. Any survivors? Reed asked. Walker checked his tactical display. A few Council ships managed to jump to hyperspace during the chain reaction. Maybe 20 or 30 out of their entire fleet. The rest. He gestured at the debris field around them. The bridge was quiet as the crew absorbed the magnitude of what they had accomplished. For 50 years, humanity had fought against the Council's overwhelming technological superiority. Now, in a single battle, they had shattered the Council's image of invincibility. Message from engineering, the communications officer announced. Stone reports the quantum cascade weapon is completely burned out. We'll never be able to use it again. Reed nodded. They had known it would be a one-time weapon. But that one time had changed everything. Signal from Heaven's Gate colony, Miller reported. They're asking if we actually did it. If we really defeated the Council fleet. She smiled. They can see the debris field from the surface. Send them confirmation, Reed ordered. And tell them to start broadcasting to every human settlement and resistance group. The Council is not invincible. We've proved it. As the message went out, the bridge crew's consoles started lighting up with responses. Hidden human colonies, guerrilla fleets, resistance fighters, all responding to the news that the mighty Council had finally been defeated. Sir, Walker called out, his voice excited. I'm picking up Council communications. Their entire command structure is in chaos. The loss of their main fleet. They've never experienced anything like this. Stone's voice came over the comm. Bridge, you need to see this. The sensor data we collected during the battle. The Cascade effect didn't just destroy their ships. It exposed weaknesses in all their core technologies. Weaknesses we can exploit. Reed turned to his crew. Despite their exhaustion, their eyes were bright with hope. Send all the data to every human technical facility, he ordered. Let them analyze it, improve it. The council thought they had perfected their technology. We'll show them what real innovation looks like. Message incoming, the communications officer announced. It's from Earth. The bridge fell silent. Earth, their homeworld, had been under council occupation for decades. The message was brief, but clear. The council forces were withdrawing, their confidence shattered by the loss of their main fleet. More reports coming in, Walker said, his voice growing stronger. Council ships are pulling back from human colonies across the galaxy. They're retreating to their core systems. Miller's console beeped with new data. Sir, analysis of the battle is spreading through human space. Other resistance groups are already working on ways to adapt our tactics. The Council won't be able to use their old strategies anymore. Reed looked at his crew. They were tired. Their ship was damaged, but they had done what no one thought possible. They had shown that humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology. It was the ability to adapt, to innovate, to never stop learning and improving. Send a message to all human forces, he ordered. Tell them that this is just the beginning. The Council thought they had reached perfection. They stopped advancing, stopped innovating, became trapped by their own success. But humanity never stops growing, never stops learning. He turned back to the viewport, watching the stars beyond the debris field. We've shown them that their perfect technology has weaknesses. Their unbeatable tactics can be countered. Their 1,000-year empire can fall. The Defiant's engines hummed as power slowly returned. Around them, the wreckage of the Council fleet drifted like a monument to the danger of complacency. Plot a course for the nearest human port, Reed ordered. We need repairs, and our engineers need to start analyzing everything we've learned. He smiled slightly. The Council thought this battle would end the war. They were right, but not the way they expected. The human ship turned away from the debris field, its scared hull gleaming in the starlight. Behind it, the remnants of the Council fleet marked the beginning of a new era, one where humanity would show the galaxy that the future belonged not to those with the most advanced technology, but to those who never stopped trying to improve it.